Imagine this. You sit down to work and your brain just won't grab. You read the same sentence twice. You open a tab, forget why you opened it, and suddenly 20 minutes are gone. You still show up. You still try. But your focus feels thinner than it used to be. And if you're over 45, this hits differently. Because it doesn't just feel like a bad day, it can feel like a quiet fear. Is my brain slowing down? For real? Here's the truth most people miss. Midlife cognitive performance is rarely one problem. It's a stack of small things. Lighter sleep, more stress, less movement, more inflammation, more screens, more responsibilities. Until your brain is running on background noise all day. That's why so many high-functioning adults describe the same pattern. They can still do the work, but it takes more effort. They can still concentrate, but it breaks more easily. They can still remember, but names and words don't pop the way they used to. It's not dramatic. It's just annoying. And because it's annoying, people go looking for a shortcut. So when you hear cognitive peptides online, it's tempting. Some people call them brain hacks, others call them dangerous nonsense. And most content is either a sales pitch or a scare pitch. Today, we do it the adult way. No hype, no copy this protocol, no dosing talk. Just a clear explanation of three names you keep seeing in the cognitive peptide world: Semax, Dihexa, and Selank. What they are, what they're claimed to influence, what the research direction suggests, what's uncertain, and what realistic midlife goals actually look like. Welcome to Midlife Peptide Intelligence. If you're 45 plus and you want calm, science-first breakdowns without internet drama, subscribe. This channel is built for long-term health and performance, not quick-fix fantasies. Now, before we touch any peptide, we need a simple framework. Because without it, cognitive peptides becomes a confusing word salad. Your brain performance is basically four systems working together. First, arousal and attention. How awake, alert, and locked in you feel. Second, stress and anxiety tone. How switched on your nervous system is. Third, plasticity and learning. How well your brain builds and strengthens connections. Fourth, energy and sleep. Because a tired brain is rarely a sharp brain. Most midlife brain fog is not because your brain forgot how to think. It's because one or more of those systems is running poorly. And here's a really important midlife detail. The brain doesn't like uncertainty. When you're younger, your brain can tolerate chaos and still perform. In midlife, the same chaos costs more. Your brain starts budgeting attention. That's why you can feel mentally drained from things that used to feel easy. Too many meetings, too much multitasking, too many notifications, too much social pressure, too much background tension you pretend you don't feel. Your attention becomes a limited resource you can actually feel running out. So when someone says, "This peptide fixed my focus," the grown-up question is, which system was actually broken? Because peptides are signals. They can nudge biology, but they cannot replace a nervous system that's overloaded and underslept. They also can't replace basic cognitive hygiene, like protecting your mornings, reducing constant context switching, and doing real single-task focus more often than you doom scroll. With that foundation, let's talk about the three compounds. We'll start with Semax. Semax is a synthetic peptide that became popular through research and medical use discussions, mainly in Eastern Europe and Russia. Online, it's labeled a nootropic peptide, meaning people associated with cognition, attention, and mental stamina. The big scientific idea tied to Semax is neurotrophic signaling, especially something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is often described as fertilizer for neurons. That's a simplification, but it's useful. It supports the health of neurons and helps with synaptic plasticity, which is the brain's ability to strengthen connections between cells. That matters for learning, memory, and the ability to adapt. Another way to say it is this: when your brain is learning, it is physically remodeling. It's building and reinforcing tiny connections. That process is heavily influenced by sleep, movement, and stress, but also by neurotrophic signals. This is why exercise is such a powerful cognitive tool. Exercise doesn't just help your mood. It changes signaling that supports plasticity. Sleep doesn't just rest you. It consolidates learning and reorganizes memory. Stress doesn't just feel bad. Chronic stress can interfere with the very biology that helps your brain stay flexible. So Semax gets attention because it's discussed in the context of influencing those signals. Now here's why Semax feels so relevant to midlife. In your 20s, you can brute force cognition with adrenaline, novelty, and sleep you don't deserve. In your 40s and 50s, that strategy stops working. You want focus that feels stable. You want clarity that doesn't come with jittery stimulation. You want cognitive endurance, the ability to stay mentally present without feeling fried. Semax is discussed because it may influence neurotrophic and neurotransmitter-related pathways that could support that kind of mental performance. But here's the no BS part. The internet often talks about Semax like it's a guaranteed upgrade. Real biology doesn't work like that. The quality of evidence and the consistency of results vary. And even if a compound supports plasticity signaling, it still won't override the biggest midlife killers of cognition: poor sleep, constant stress, and metabolic instability. So here's the adult way to think about Semax. If your issue is that your brain feels flat, mentally fatigued, and slow to engage, Semax is discussed in that lane because it's tied to neurotrophic support themes. But the smarter goal is not turn my brain into a supercomputer. The smarter goal is restore capacity, so you can think clearly, learn efficiently, and recover mentally. Now let's talk about Selank, because Selank is a different vibe. Selank is also a synthetic peptide associated with Russian research contexts, and it's most commonly discussed for anxiety regulation and nervous system tone. This matters because a lot of people don't have a focus problem. They have an anxiety problem that looks like a focus problem. When your nervous system is constantly on alert, your brain doesn't want deep work. It wants scanning. It wants checking. It wants what's next. That's why you bounce between tasks, crave dopamine hits, and feel mentally tired even when you didn't do anything physically exhausting. In simple terms, stress fragments attention. Selank is often described as influencing calming pathways, including systems linked to gamma-aminobutyric acid and serotonin signaling. Gamma-aminobutyric acid is a major inhibitory messenger in the brain. Think brake pedal. Serotonin is involved in mood stability and emotional regulation, among many other things. When those systems are off, people can feel wired, tense, and mentally noisy. So Selank is attractive to midlife adults who say things like, "My brain won't shut up," I'm not depressed, I'm just constantly switched on. I want calm focus, not sedation. Now, again, the adult reality check. Calming the nervous system can improve cognition indirectly because it frees up mental bandwidth. But if your life still trains your nervous system to live in overdrive, late-night screens, too much caffeine, no downshift routine, constant urgency, any calming tool becomes temporary. This is why a lot of people think they need focus supplements, when what they actually need is a daily off switch. Not a weekend off, not a vacation once a year. A daily off switch. 10 minutes where the nervous system learns, I am safe, I can downshift. That one habit can improve focus more than most people expect. Because a calm brain doesn't waste energy on scanning. It can commit to one thing. So here's the midlife way to think about Selank. If your problem is mental noise, tension, and anxious over-arousal, Selank is discussed because it may nudge calming pathways. But the long-term win is not calm by chemical. It's rebuilding a baseline where your nervous system is not screaming all day. Now we move to the most controversial and most internet-hyped one. Dihexa. Dihexa is often discussed as a compound that could influence synaptic growth, the building and strengthening of connections in the brain. You'll sometimes see it linked to pathways involving hepatocyte growth factor and receptor signaling related to plasticity and synaptogenesis. Here's why people get excited. If a compound truly enhances synapse formation or strengthens neural connectivity, in theory, it could impact learning and memory. That sounds like a dream, especially for midlife adults who worry about cognitive decline. But here's the grown-up truth. The more something sounds like brain growth, the higher the bar for caution should be. Because growth signaling is powerful biology. Powerful biology can have trade-offs. And in the nootropic world, Dihexa is often treated like a high-level hack, without the kind of long-term, broad safety certainty you'd want before treating it casually. Another issue is that the brain is not a simple muscle where more growth is always good. The brain needs balance, excitation and inhibition, focus and recovery, learning and consolidation. If you push one side without understanding the system, you can create instability. That's why, in midlife, stronger is not always better. Often, more stable is better. This doesn't mean Dihexa is evil. It means the online certainty is often larger than the real-world certainty. So the midlife way to think about Dihexa is this. Dihexa is discussed in the lane of plasticity and synaptic growth themes, which makes it scientifically intriguing. But it also means it deserves the highest skepticism toward hype and the highest demand for safety evidence. If your goal is long-term brain health, you don't want novelty. You want stability. Now let's connect the three into a simple mental model you can actually remember. Semax is mostly discussed for attention and cognitive endurance via neurotrophic signaling themes. Selank is mostly discussed for calming and anxiety modulation, which can indirectly improve focus by reducing mental noise. Dihexa is mostly discussed for plasticity and synaptic growth themes, with the biggest hype and the biggest need for caution. And here's the line that matters most. If you're asking which one is best, you're starting in the wrong place. The right question is, what is my bottleneck? If your bottleneck is sleep, no peptide replaces deep sleep. If your bottleneck is stress, no peptide replaces nervous system recovery. If your bottleneck is blood sugar swings, no peptide replaces stable metabolism. If your bottleneck is attention habits, no peptide replaces focus training. So let's be brutally honest about what actually moves cognitive performance in midlife. The most evidence-based cognitive upgrade is not exotic. It's consistent sleep timing and enough deep sleep. It's getting daylight early so your brain knows what time it is. It's limiting bright light late at night so your sleep becomes deeper again. It's not glamorous, but it's foundational. It's regular resistance training and aerobic conditioning, because brain health follows vascular and metabolic health. Your brain is an organ that needs oxygen, stable blood flow, and stable fuel. It's daily walking, boring, underrated, powerful, because low-intensity movement improves mood, glucose control, and attention regulation more than most people expect. It's protein and micronutrients, because the brain is tissue and it needs raw materials. It's stress downshifting, every day, not once a year on vacation, because constant on mode drains your ability to focus. And it's reducing constant digital stimulation, because your brain becomes what you practice. If you practice distraction all day, your brain gets good at distraction. When people do those things, they often regain something they thought was gone: mental sharpness. Then, and only then, does it make sense to explore signal molecules as a conversation. And that conversation should be responsible, individualized, and safety first. Now, quick safety talk, because this channel is for adults. If you have a history of severe anxiety, bipolar disorder, psychosis, or you take psychiatric medications, anything that alters brain signaling should be approached with medical guidance. If you have untreated sleep apnea, fix that first. Sleep apnea can wreck attention, memory, mood, and energy while raising cardiovascular risk. And if someone tells you a cognitive compound has no side effects, treat that as a red flag, not reassurance. In biology, every lever pulls something else. All right, let's recap this whole episode in one clean story. If you want cognitive endurance and learning support, Semax is discussed because it's linked to neurotrophic signaling themes. But the results are not guaranteed, and your foundations still matters most. If you want calmer focus because your brain feels noisy and wired, Selank is discussed because it may influence anxiety-related pathways. Yet long-term calm still depends on lifestyle and nervous system recovery. If you want brain plasticity and synapse growth, Dihexa is discussed in that lane. But the hype is big, and the responsible approach is skepticism and a high bar for safety. That's the no-nonsense map. If this helped, subscribe to Midlife Peptide Intelligence. I make these videos so you can understand what's real, what's promising, and what's marketing, without turning your health into an experiment. And before you go, here's your next click if you want to connect the dots. If your brain is foggy, one of the most common hidden reasons is simple. Your body is not recovering well. Your nervous system stays on, inflammation stays higher, and your sleep gets lighter. Over time, that can feel like a focus problem, when it's really a recovery problem. And here's the interesting part. Recovery isn't only about muscles, it's also about your brain. When you recover well, your attention stabilizes, your mood smooths out, your memory feels faster, your patience comes back. You stop living on adrenaline and start living on capacity. So after this, watch the next episode. Every recovery peptide explained in 10 minutes, no BS. In that video, we break down the 3 recovery peptides you see everywhere: BPC 157, TB 500, and thymosin beta 4. What they're claimed to do for tendons, connective tissue, and repair signaling. What the science actually suggests, and where the internet tends to oversell the story. And I'm going to show you something most people miss. Why healing faster isn't always the same as healing better. And why midlife recovery is mostly about smart loading, sleep depth, and inflammation control. Then, only after that, you can even discuss signal molecules responsibly. If you've ever thought, my muscles want to train, but my joints and tendons can't keep up, that next video is for you. And if you've ever felt like you're constantly one tweak away from missing a month of training, you'll want that episode too. This was Midlife Peptide Intelligence. See you there.